Wensbury Police Station was initially opposite the building that we're in now, in Russell Street, and it was a purpose-built building then with a court attached to it. And then I think it's in about 1970 the police acquired this land and built this again as a purpose-built station. I think it opened with about 120 staff here. And they then covered, at the time, there would have been controllers. Obviously this station has a cell block with cells, and that would have been working at the time. Today it's very different. Today there are the neighbourhood teams based here. There are some traffic officers based here. The dog section for the western side are based here. And what we call the OSU, which is the Operational Support Unit, they're based here too. It's not manned 24/7. It's only open between the hours of 10 and 6, front office wise, to the general public. And if you do come in with something, you will have an officer more times out of what turn up from West Bromwich rather than a Wensbury police officer deal with your matter in the front office. We had a big change about 4 years ago to make everything more large town based. So our response officers all work from West Bromwich, and from West Bromwich they cover Oldbury, Cradley Heath and Old Hill, Smethwick, Tipton and Wensbury and West Brom Town Centre. So any immediate job that comes in that somebody's rang 999 for, even though they might be based in Wensbury, the officers are more than likely going to come from West Bromwich, and that's the way the system works now. Us as neighbourhood officers, although obviously if there's a job that's come through on the radio, we are all police officers, and if we're in the locality, whatever happens, you are always going to go to it because that's your job. That isn't your role. You're not, you know, there are response officers with vehicles to get to those jobs. We are predominantly on foot or push bike, so obviously that would make it very much more difficult for us to get to a job straight away. But like I say, if you ran the corner, you would never not go, even though it's not in your role. You would always make it as a matter of urgency. But initially, it will be an officer from West Brom. It's a very emotional job, and I don't think anyone could ever prepare you for what you're going to see. You go to all sorts of things, and things that could be, you believe are going to be a routine job that you go to, and it isn't how it was explained to you over the radio. And you do see some really, really horrific things. There obviously are the other sides to it as well, where you've really tried to help somebody, but there's just nothing that you can do to help them, and you walk away feeling a little bit, I really feel like I haven't done my job properly because I haven't given them what they need, but they won't accept the help. So there's only so much you can do. Impacts on family life as well. You know, there's a few times I've gone home, you go home late because you kept on from work, and you only kept on because it's a serious job, and you feel that you need to stay and follow this thing through. But then you go home sort of really distracted, and sort of there's something on your mind, and a lot of it obviously you can't share with your partner. My husband's not in the police force. There's a lot of stuff that I see that I can't share with him because he can't be party to that information. So your colleagues are really important, and it's really good that you have a good working group around you that you feel able to talk to and share with. Police humour can also sometimes seem a little bit harsh and a little bit cruel. But sometimes it's just a way that you deal with the emotional things that you've seen. And, you know, every day you come to work never quite knowing what you're going to see and what you're going to be involved in. Some days there isn't. It's not like the TV programmes, and you're not always screaming around chasing people. But, you know, there are a lot of things that you see that other people wouldn't ever dream of and wouldn't ever be able to perhaps deal with if they did see. And there isn't any training really. We are always offered counselling. We're offered support through the force if there's anything that we've dealt with that we feel is a little bit traumatic. But nobody could ever teach you or prepare you for what you're going to see. You can look at pictures, you can see gruesome, horrible things, but until you actually are the first person to look at something that's quite gruesome, you're not going to know how you're going to react to it. And you can probably go to 5 or 6 serious car accidents and see the same kind of thing, but obviously depending on what your mind is on that day, it will be different every time you go. Your body and your mind will react differently, and it's very hard to know how you're going to deal with it. You apply for an application form, and it's called an application pack when it comes. I don't know whether that applies now, but that certainly is what applied when I joined. 3 booklets we completed to fill in, and I do strongly believe that that is something to do with dedication, because if you really want to do it, you'll fill the application form in and you'll stick at it. Did that, sent that away about a month later, passed that, and then again you just go through checks to make sure that you are a suitable candidate. You then go for an exam where you have to pass a basic English and maths exam, and then if you pass those, you have to then go through a scenario-based interview, I suppose, where you sit around in a group. We had if you're all in a basket and the basket's sinking, who are you going to throw out? And it's just all about your confidence, I think, and there's assessors around the room looking at you and watching whether you're able to converse with people and be a strong enough character, but then on the other hand not be dominant either. Just look for the, I don't know, characteristics of what a good police officer should be, I suppose. If you pass all that, then you get sent for a medical. So if you pass the medical, you then get sent for a physical. My physical test was running through an obstacle course 3 times in a set amount of allotted time, and then we had a strength machine that we had to pass a certain point. I failed initially and got the strength test and got to do it again and passed, and then that was it. And all of a sudden you rang up and said, right, you need to be at this address, go and pick all your kit up. And that was a very bizarre, strange situation, going into a big warehouse and picking up trousers, what was then white shirts, we don't have those anymore, only for court, and a bag full of all sorts of stuff that you just think, wow, my life's completely changed. And again, that was 9 months. You then go through a training process, and what happened to me, I was posted to Tally Ho initially for 2 weeks, which is our training facility. And then once you're there, after 2 weeks, you get allocated. I went to Brighton Police Training, which is Brighton-on-Dunsmore, sort of Coventry. And you then go for 12 weeks, and you're a boarder, and you stay sort of Monday or Sunday evening till Friday afternoon. You stay at that place, and you become, I suppose it's like university living a little bit. I had a room with a bedroom and a sink and a wardrobe and a desk. We had to share toilet facilities and showering facilities, and you go with a load of other people who've joined the same time as you, and you learn how to be a police officer, and you learn within 12 weeks. Obviously you learn very basic law and what's expected of you, and mostly then you learn when you come and do the job, because that's the only way. And I don't think you ever finish learning. I think it's always going to be an ongoing thing with police. Every day something's different, and every day somebody does something that you think, oh, I don't really know that. I've learned something at the end of your day, so it's quite good. So then after writing, you come back and they allocate you a station to go. And then that was it. I went to, like I said, to Old Hill Police Station, where I started my career with 3 other police officers who I'd been training with. The police force are very good at letting us do what they call family-friendly hours. So my hours are predominantly at the moment day shifts between the hours of 8 and 4 in Wednesbury, which then does help me spend a lot more time in the schools, a lot more time with the housing, a lot more time with the council, a lot more time with local councillors, and helps me then help the community. The rest of my team follow a 3 earlies, 3 lates, 3 days off shift pattern. The earlies are 8 till 5. The lates can be anything from 2 till 10 or 2 till 1 on weekends. And then they have 3 days off. Response officers cover 6 days on, 4 days off. So they'll normally do 2 earlies, 2 lates and 2 nights, and then they get 4 days off. You are the old school local beat officer, basically, that, 30, 40 years ago, everybody used to say, oh, we all knew our local police officer, and if you told us off, we'd go home. We are that. The team I work on cover the Friar Park area of Wednesbury, and there are 3 police officers, me included, a sergeant and a PCSO, and we just deal with community issues. We work very closely with Sandwell Council, we work very closely with the schools in the area. We have a lot of input in a lot of the schools, lots of just work around people if they, you know, they're causing antisocial behaviour. That is our main focus, and how we deal with that, and other options of not sort of arresting people for it, dealing with them through housing and demoting their tenancies if they're council house owners, and also leading to eviction if that's ultimately necessary, to try and just make the community a better place, really.